My name is Marcus Reed, and I moved to Crestwood Heights, dreaming of a quiet life for my son, Noah. Crestwood was the kind of place you'd see in a magazine rows of neat houses. Emerald lawns and porches where neighbors sipped lemonade at dusk. It felt like a promise of peace, a place to heal after years of grief. But promises break, and in Crestwood, trouble came in the form of Karen Dorsey, the HOA president who wielded her power like a sledgehammer. She thought she could crush Noah's spirit, thought she could destroy what made him shine. What she didn't know was that I'm not just a dad dime, a renowned art curator with connections that could unravel her world. When she went after my son, I didn't just fight back. I made sure she'd never hurt us again. Noah's 11. With sandy hair that falls into his eyes and a smile that could light up a storm. He has cerebral palsy, which makes his hands tremble and his legs unsteady. He uses a walker. It's silver. Frame a constant companion, but his limitations don't define him. His mind is a canvas, alive with colors and patterns that spill out in his paintings. In our garage, we built a studio shelves of acrylics in every hue, brushes of all sizes, canvases stacked against the wall. Noah would spend hours there, his shaky hands dipping into crimson or cobalt, creating abstract swirls that felt like they breathed. His art wasn't just therapy, 'twas his voice, his way of telling the world he was here. Last year, I curated a small exhibit of his work at a city gallery, and collectors took notice. Noah's paintings weren't just good, they were extraordinary. We'd been in Crestwood for 18 months when Karen Dorsey decided we didn't belong. Karen was a force of nature, but not the kind that inspires awe. Short and stocky, with a peroxide blonde pixie cut and eyes that gleamed with malice, she carried a clipboard like a weapon. Her voice could cut through a quiet street, sharp and relentless, and she ruled the HOA like a dictator. A crooked mailbox, a $50 fine, a bike left on a lawn, a warning letter. Neighbors whispered about her behind closed doors, but no one dared challenge her. I wanted no part of her drama. Noah needed stability after losing his mom, Emily, to cancer 3 years ago. I'd promised him a home where he could thrive, and I'd keep that promise no matter what. But Karen saw Noah's difference as a flaw, and she made it her mission to erase us. It started with the studio. One April morning, Noah was painting, his walker propped nearby, when Karen marched up our driveway, her heels clicking like a metronome. The garage door was open, letting in spring air, and she peered inside, her lips pursing. "This is unacceptable," she snapped, gesturing at the paint-splattered tarp. "Garages are for vehicles, not this chaos." I set down a jar of paint, keeping my tone even. It's Noah's art studio. It helps him physically and emotionally. It's not against any rules. I'd read the HOA bylaws cover to cover. Nothing banned personal creative spaces. Karen scribbled on her clipboard, her eyes cold. "We'll see about that," she said, and stormed off. I thought she'd let it go. I was wrong. Her attacks grew sharper, more personal. She sent a $100 fine for clutter, claiming Noah's easel and paint jars violated Crestwood's aesthetic standards. Then came a letter about the hazardous chemical odor from his non-toxic acrylics, demanding we shut the studio down. I paid the fines, cleaned the garage to her specifications, but each demand chipped away at my patience. Noah felt it too. One evening, as we sat on the porch, he looked up from his sketchpad, his voice small. "Dad, does Ms. Karen hate my paintings?" My chest tightened. I knelt beside him, brushing hair from his eyes. "Your art's beautiful, buddy. She doesn't understand it, but that's her problem, not yours." He nodded, but his smile was fragile, like glass about to crack. I hugged him, vowing to shield him. But Karen's shadow was growing. The neighborhood wasn't immune to her reign. Mrs. Patel, a kind widow across the street, got fined for leaving her recycling bin out an hour late. Jenna and Tom, a young couple. Down the block were scolded for their toddler's chalk drawings on the sidewalk. Vandalism, Karen called it. At the community pool, she banned kids from bringing floaties, claiming they clogged the filters. People grumbled over fences, but fear kept them quiet. Crestwood's charm was fading, replaced by tension that hung like smog and hovered over mailboxes and grocery store aisles. I tried to stay above it, focusing on Noah's art and our quiet evenings together, grilled cheese dinners, puzzle nights, his laughter filling our little house on Sycamore Lane. But Karen wasn't just picky. She was cruel, and Noah was her next target. It was a sticky July afternoon when she crossed the line. Noah was at a physical therapy session with his aide, working on his grip strength, and I was at the city's Meridian Gallery, finalizing a deal to feature Noah's paintings in a charity auction. My phone buzzed with a call from Mrs. Patel, her voice trembling. "Marcus, you need to come home now," she said. "Karen's at your house. She's doing something awful." My heart lurched. I sped back the gallery's marble halls. A blur, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. When I pulled into Crestwood, a small crowd had gathered near our driveway. Neighbors, some whispering, others staring in silence. Mrs. Patel ran to me, her eyes wide. "She took Noah's art supplies," she said, pointing to the storm drain at the curb. "She dumped them in the sewer." I sprinted to the drain, my boots slipping on the grass. The metal grate was pried open, and below, in the dark, filthy water, were Noah's treasures: shattered paint jars, mangled brushes, canvases torn and soaked. A jar of crimson had cracked, its contents bleeding into the muck, swirling with cobalt and gold. A half-finished painting, Noah's latest, floated face down, his signature swirl dissolving into nothing. My knees hit the pavement. This wasn't just destruction. It was an assault on my son's heart, his way of being in the world. I reached into the drain, pulling out a broken brush, its bristles caked in grime. My hands shook, rage and grief colliding in my chest. Karen stood a few feet away, arms crossed, her smirk venomous. "Got a problem, Marcus?" she said, her voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. "That garbage was an eyesore. I did you a favor, cleaning up." Neighbors gasped, but no one moved. Jenna clutched her toddler's hand, her face pale. Mr. Chen, an older man with a prized rose garden, shook his head, but stayed silent. I stood, towering over Karen, my voice low and dangerous. "You destroyed my son's art," I said. "His therapy, his joy. You'll pay for this." She laughed, a harsh, grating sound that echoed in the humid air. "Good luck. I own this neighborhood." She turned, her clipboard tucked under her arm, and strutted away, oblivious to the fire she'd ignited. I called the police, my hands still wet from the drain. An officer arrived, took one look at the mess, and sighed. "It's a civil matter," he said. "Unless you've got witnesses or proof, there's not much we can do." Mrs. Patel fidgeted, her fear of Karen's retaliation silencing her. Other neighbors avoided my eyes, their courage faltering. I photographed everything: the drain, the ruined paints, the broken canvas, my fingers trembling with fury. When Noah got home, I sat him down, my throat tight. "Buddy, someone messed up your art supplies," I said, softening the truth. "We'll replace them, I swear." His face crumpled, his shaky hands gripping his walker. "Why, Dad?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Was it bad?" I pulled him close, his small frame trembling against me. "No, Noah, your art's perfect. They're just mean." His tears soaked my shirt, and I made a silent vow. Karen would answer for this, not just to me, but to the law. That night, I became a man possessed. I'm not just any curator. For 20 years, I've built a name in the art world, curating. For the Met, advising billionaire collectors and dining with judges, lawyers, and philanthropists. My network isn't just professional, it's a web of loyalty. I called Alina Vargas, a property crime attorney who'd owed me a favor since. I helped her client recover a stolen Basquiat. Karen Dorsey vandalized Noah's art supplies, I said, emailing the photos. I want her buried. Alina didn't hesitate. She's toast, Marcus. I'll dig into her finances, her HOA records. Give me a week. I thanked her, my jaw tight. Karen thought she was untouchable. She was about to learn how wrong she was. While Alina worked, I turned to the art community. I posted on my Curator's blog, not about the vandalism that was too raw, about Noah. 11-year-old artist with cerebral palsy creates stunning abstracts. I wrote, attaching photos of his surviving paintings, their swirls vibrant and alive. I shared his story, a boy who painted through pain, who found joy in color. The post exploded. Art forums shared it, then local news. A gallery in Chicago offered to host Noah's work. K Collector DM'd me asking to buy a piece. For $2,000, Noah's art became a movement, and Karen had no idea the spotlight was shifting. In Crestwood, Karen tightened her grip. She sent a new fine, claiming Noah's studio devalued properties. She cornered Mrs. Patel at the mailbox, accusing her of snitching to me. But her power was slipping. At the park, I overheard Jenna telling another mom, Karen's out of control. That sewer thing was evil. A teenager, Liam, who mowed our lawn, muttered. She yelled at my dog for barking. I hate her. Neighbors were waking up, their fear giving way to anger. I fueled it subtly, dropping hints about the HOA meeting in the neighborhood app. Bring your complaints, I wrote. Let's talk leadership. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy writing her next fine. Alina called 6 days later, her voice triumphant. Karen's dirty, she said. She's been skimming HOA. Funds $200 here, $500 there, funneled to her personal account. Your photos and Mrs. Patel's statement nail her for vandalism and theft. Plus, I've got a paper trail of her harassing neighbors. She drafted a lawsuit, $15,000 for Noah's supplies, emotional distress, and punitive damages. Plus charges for embezzlement. We'll file tomorrow, she said. And Judge Harlan, who loved your last exhibit, is on the bench. I grinned, the first real smile in days. Make it hurt, Alina. Karen's kingdom was crumbling, and I was holding the sledgehammer. The HOA meeting was a powder keg. I'd spread word through back channels texts, whispered chats at the grocery store. The community center was packed, neighbors spilling into the aisles, their faces a mix of nerves and defiance. Karen sat at the front, her clipboard pristine, her smirk intact. She thought she was invincible. I walked in, not as Marcus the Quiet Dad, but as Marcus Reed, Curator, with a leather portfolio and a flash drive. My suit was sharp, my expression calm but deadly. Whispers followed me as I took the floor, plugging my laptop into the projector. Karen Dorsey destroyed my son's art, I said, my voice carrying over the room. I clicked, and the screen lit up with the storm-drained shattered paint jars. A ruined canvas, Noah's swirl fading into muck. Gasps echoed. Noah has cerebral palsy. His paintings are his therapy, his voice. Karen threw them in a sewer to hurt him. I showed her finds, each one a jab at Noah's studio, then dropped Elena's bombshell. She's been stealing HOA funds for years, I said, projecting bank records transfers to her account, disguised as maintenance fees. The crowd roared, chairs scraping as people stood. Jenna leaped up. She fined us $300 for our kid's tricycle, Mr. A. Chen shouted, she threatened to sue me over my roses. Liam, the teen, added, she called my dog a nuisance. The room became a chorus of grievances. years of resentment pouring out. Karen's face turned scarlet. "This is a setup." She screamed, slamming her clipboard. "Marcus is lying." I played her voicemail to Mrs. Patel, her voice venomous. "Keep your mouth shut, or you're next." The crowd chanted, "Out! Out!" The HOA board, 3 nervous men in khakis, conferred, their faces pale. The chairman stood. "Karen Dorsey is removed as president, effective immediately." Cheers erupted, raw and cathartic. Karen stormed out, her heels echoing, her power shattered. The lawsuit was surgical. Lena filed in county court, and my connections Judge Harlan, a gallery donor, ensured it moved fast. At the trial, I took the stand, my voice steady but raw. Noah asked why someone would hurt his art. I said, my eyes on the jury. He thinks he did something wrong. He's 11. My throat caught, and I gripped the rail, picturing Noah's tears. Mrs. Patel testified, her voice trembling but clear, describing Karen's act. Alina showed the bank records, the photos, the voicemail. Karen's lawyer tried to spin her as a dedicated leader, but the evidence was a guillotine. Judge Harlan's voice was ice. Guilty of vandalism, theft, and embezzlement. Karen got 6 months probation, a $20,000 penalty, $7,000 for Noah's supplies, $10,000 for distress, $3,000 in fines, and a permanent HOA ban. Her name was toxic, her influence erased. Noah's art became a beacon. The charity auction raised $25,000, split between his therapy and a local art program for disabled kids. His paintings hung in Meridian Gallery, and at the opening he beamed, his walker steady, his suit a little big. "Dad, people like my art," he said, his eyes wide. I ruffled his hair. "I love it, buddy, just like I do." Crestwood transformed. Jenna, the new HOA president, scrapped Karen's rules. Mailboxes bloomed with color, and Mr. Chen's roses won a local award. Karen's house sold quietly, her name a ghost. Neighbors stopped by with gifts, a new brush set from Jenna, a puzzle from Liam. Crestwood wasn't perfect, but it was free. One summer evening, Noah and I sat in the studio, new paints gleaming under the lights. He dipped a brush in turquoise, his hand shaky but bold, and started a new canvas, a swirl of blues and golds, alive with hope. "This one's for Mom," he said, his voice soft. I swallowed hard, picturing Emily's smile. "She'd love it, Noah." He painted, and I watched, the weight of the fight lifting. Karen tried to break him, but Noah's light was unstoppable. I'd fought for it, and I'd won. Crestwood was ours again, and my son's art would shine forever.